Caitlin, what makes this debut special for you?
Man, I think, this is every kid's dream. I think I wrote it down when I was in like third grade. So, just excited about this opportunity. And I remember Kara Callan talking to us, like when me and Paige, and I know AB isn't here, but, even I played with Ryan on the, U19 team, like on the junior national teams, there's only going to be like a couple of you that end up making it to make a senior debut. So whether that's the World Cup, whether the World Cup qualifier, whether that's, the Olympics, every single part of it and part of the journey is really special. So I know we're a ways away even from the World Cup and obviously a ways away from the Olympics, but this is still really exciting in itself and kind of the first step in this journey.
Because everything was in Caitlin Clark's Team USA interview. But that hurt her during the 2025 season, what it was like to go back to a gym at this level, working out with pros she used to watch as a child, and the game-winning shot that made the whole camp go crazy. Then, almost at the end, she talked about the CBA talks in a way that made the players group look silly by comparison. It was so clear what she said that it made the whole Players Association feel very uncomfortable. We will talk about everything Clark did and said during her amazing Team USA homecoming in this film. Are you glad Caitlin is back at work? Please let me know in the area below for comments, as we will be writing regarding every of her Team USA games this week.
Just remind myself who I am and what I've been, and I didn't lose that, so just continue to do that.
Think about this. Caitlin Clark walks into a Team USA building without taking her time, getting used to it, or seeing it as a chance to make a comeback. She's only fighting now as if the months before didn't happen, but they did. Before we talk about what she said in that conversation, it's important to understand this. Clark found it hard to watch the 2025 WNBA season. Because she was sick, she only played 13 games. 13. And it wasn't just one bad accident that made her leave. I had trouble with my quads, my hips, and my ankle, which kept giving me trouble at the worst times. Each part of that combo is bad on its own, but together, they are terrible. The piles keep growing, though, until you can't move.
I've always been a person that's going to just rely on my work. I feel like it's certainly made me work harder, but that's also probably the part that kind of stunk about it, is I felt like I put in so much time and so much energy going into last season, and then obviously I only appeared in about 13 games, and some of those probably wasn't as healthy as I probably should have been. So I think just relying on that. I think for me, obviously I didn't have, it's not like I, hurt my knee or, was in tore my Achilles or something like that. Obviously, knock on wood, it was kind of these nagging injuries that continued to build up and dealt with one on top of the other.
And that's exactly what she talked about in the interview, the part that kept bothering her. Her words showed that the wounds were not the kind that leave you out for a long time. Every day when they woke up, they thought, maybe today is it. Maybe I can get through this today, but you can't, they would say. So you do it again tomorrow. She's honest about how hard that cycle is on her.
I think that was probably almost, played with my mind even more than knowing I was going to be out for a set period of time. I was always trying to come back. And then I'd get hurt in another way. And then, finally, obviously shutting it down. I've had a good, 6 months or maybe more. And I think the first USA basketball camp was a great checkpoint for me. And I felt really great. Honestly, I was impressed with how with it I felt. Sometimes I felt like it maybe would take me a day or two to really get my first step back, but I felt like myself out there.
Now this is where things get interesting. She talks about more than just the physical side. Having to watch your team fight from the sidelines without being able to change anything is hard on her mental health. She says that because you know why you're not playing, it affects your mind differently than it does your body. It's harder to keep the thinking part in check. That's right, you're still locked up and watching movies during the day. But you're not playing hoops. Clark has been acting at a high level all her life. So this makes her feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while since I played a game. And obviously I played in the camp we had in December, and then, doing everything I can to simulate as much live play in training and pickup and things like that, but nothing will quite emulate this type of environment. So I think it'll probably take me a second to knock a little bit of the rust off. I'll probably be a little bit nervous, which I usually don't get nervous, but that probably just will come from, I haven't really played basketball in a while. So I'm sure after the first minute of running around on the court, I'll be just fine.
The important thing is what she says next. She says she's feeling better now than she did at the start of the season. Better, not just back to normal. Given what she has been through, that is a big thing to say. but the way she said it made sense. She talks about how she handled the off-season differently. She worked on the right things instead of just putting in the hours because she was more deliberate about what she was doing. She's not just grinding aimlessly. Targeted work is being done, and she can tell the change.
But more than anything, just really excited. I know how much work and how much time I've put in to make sure my body's as healthy as it can be, and to get back not only to a point where I feel like I'm myself, but I feel like I'm even better than, where I was at the beginning of last season. And I started off the season really well before I was hurt and tried to play through being hurt. So more than anything, just excited to be out there, be surrounded by a lot of really good players, and do whatever I can to help us win.
That's the main point of the conversation. She's not trying to sell you something. There's no show going on right now. She's just sitting there talking about what happened, what she did, and how she feels now. It works because it is so clear. You believe her. She's not trying to brag too much. She's just letting you know where she is. She is currently at a training camp for Team USA, where she is practicing against gold medalists and making shots that win games when they matter. Now things start to get interesting. Clark just steps up and buries a shot during one of the camp practice drills that wins the game. In the interview, she doesn't say, "I'm back. I'm healthy. I'm the best player in the world." Instead, she says she's just happy to be back in that situation, taking a big shot in a competitive setting with real players around her. What she did shows a lot about her current state of mind. Let's talk about what this camp is, since it's not like other tune-ups. Team USA is getting ready for the FIBA qualifiers. A strict schedule is also in place. The training camp isn't supposed to be easy because there are 5 games in 7 days. The beat is quick. It's a fair race on both sides of every drill. Every day, gold medalists are cutting through reps right next to you. In a normal fever exercise, you can't do that again. There is no other word for it. During the talk, Clark says that she can feel the rust. She's honest about it. Since she hasn't played this well in a long time, she says it feels odd and shaky. But let's talk about it. It doesn't sound like a problem when she says it. She says it like that's what she meant. Because this camp is the kind of place where you can figure out who you are. At this level, you can't hide anything. What is there will show up, and what isn't there will too. So for her, the camp is more of a real halt than a planned stop.
Continuing to focus on my body and make sure I'm as healthy as possible. I think kind of in the build up to that first USA camp and working through that, you would feel little things, and whether, it's just soreness and having to work through that. But when you've dealt with so many little soft tissue injuries, like, you can kind of get in your head a little bit. And I think at least past couple months, I've really kind of put that behind me and really just feel confident in what I've been able to build and where my body's at, and more than anything, where my game's at. And I know I've put in as much time as I can, truly. Like, I've been in the gym.
That moment that won the game fits right in. Think about this. You haven't been seen in months. You can feel the rust. The ball is yours at the end of a drill, and the game is on the line. The gym is full of skilled players. What do you have planned? Clark doesn't think twice. It's not something she wants to pass off. Not thinking about slowly getting back in. She shoots and hits it. For Fever fans, this is the Caitlin Clark they've been missing since last season. Not hesitant or wary. Just locked in and ready to go. After that, she talks about the soldiers in camp. This part of the talk is also really great. She talks about more than just names like Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, and Kelsey Plum. She really talks about watching them not only during drills but also in between reps. How they talk to each other, how they move without the ball, and what they do in the little things that don't show up in a box score. The thing that sets good players apart from those who get better every year is that they pay attention to the little things.
Yeah, I mean, like my favorite Olympians growing up, definitely Maya Moore, Suber, Diana Taurasi. Those are probably my three favorite. But I mean, you can go down the list and name probably a bunch more. And even on the men's side, like I loved watching the men's teams as well growing up. And
she then talks about the basketball players she looked up to as a child, the ones she had pictures of and the ones she did research on. She doesn't just call them names and move on. She knows what it's like to do drills with some of those people in the gym. She says it in a very honest way, not like a fan going crazy, but like someone who knows how rare the situation is and doesn't want to take it for granted. She talks about it in a way that makes it easy to miss if you aren't paying attention.
I remember Kara Callan talking to us, like when me and Paige, and I know AB isn't here, but even I played with Ryan on the U19 team. Like on the junior national teams, there's only going to be like a couple of you that end up making it to make a senior debut. So whether that's the World Cup, whether the World Cup qualifier, whether that's, the Olympics, every single part of it and part of the journey is really special. So I know we're a ways away even from the World Cup and obviously a ways away from the Olympics, but this is still really exciting in itself and kind of the first step in this journey.
That's not all, though. Clark is definitely excited about working with Paige Becker. She talks about how they work well together, how their games affect each other, and what they can do when they're both on the court at the same time. And to be honest, the possibility is huge. Team USA is having a camp where two of the best guards in the league right now are getting to know each other. Clark says Becker has been helping her learn how Clark moves, what she loves, and where she wants the ball. Clark says Becker is doing the same for her. It's not by chance that people are so interested in science together. Both players have to really want it, which they do. This talk doesn't show a player who is just happy to be back on the field. The gamer looks like they are interested, aggressive, and having a good time. She says what she wants to say with real excitement about everything. Not the happiness that comes from getting through a tough time, but the happiness that comes from knowing exactly where you want to be. In 2026, that's the same Caitlin Clark who leads the Fever to a different team. Besides being healthy, she is locked in at a level that is hard to beat.
I'm really thankful for the Fever medical staff, player development, and a lot of other people that have helped me behind the scenes to be able to get back to this. Like, it wasn't just me. Like, there's a lot of people that were very, very selfless in helping me do this. So I'm just thankful for them, but a lot of live play more than anything. It's the best way to get back into game shape and, try to emulate certain things the best you can.
During practice, she makes goals that win games. The best players in the world are being watched by her in real time. She is part of one of the most interesting backcourt combinations in Team USA history. But she is also going through a tough and awful situation off the court. Near the end of the interview, Clark is asked about the CBA talks. Her answer is so simple and cool that it almost makes you laugh, given how long and complicated the situation has become. Clark then just says one thing that sums up everything. She wants to know why everyone doesn't just sit down, iron their clothes, and shake hands. That's it. That's her whole point of view. She is right, to be honest. Let's talk about what's been going on. The CBA gave a loose due date of March 10th. That came and went. The freedom to move has been frozen. In order to keep things calm while talks went on, the WNBA called for a halt. The players group wants a 30% cut of the profits and a wage cap that is much higher. These are the big ideas. There is no longer any doubt. In this season, people don't sit down and work things out. They just stand around and watch others argue in public.
I remember one of my best memories as a young basketball player was when I was I think this was my first time playing on the U16 team. And we were in Colorado Springs and we got to see this room. I don't know if I should be saying this. I feel like it's fine, but we got to see this room where they kept jerseys of all their best players, or a jersey from each player. Maybe I can't remember the exact specifics, but they had jerseys dating back years and years and years. And I remember as a kid, I was my eyes were just so wide. I thought this was the coolest thing in the world.
But this is where things get interesting. Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart are the most vocal Players Association members. These two aren't just players either. They helped start unrivaled, A league of competition that runs when the WNBA isn't playing. Take a moment to think about it. The people who are in charge of the CBA talks also run a business that does well during the WNBA's busy summer. Players have more reason to stay with rivalry when free agency is frozen and the season start date is unknown. That's just the truth of what's lying there. Let's be honest about the conflict of interest. You have people in charge of PA who have money invested in a rival league, and they decide how fast or slow these talks go. They choose what to get out in the open and what to keep quiet about. That is a very big problem. Fans are aware of it. More and more people are criticizing things on the internet. It's not a secret that people are putting the pieces together. There is one idea that runs through all of the comments, posts, and threads. There are good reasons for the people in charge of these talks to move slowly. People who really need a clean 2026 season are the ones who pay for it.
My first time playing on the U16 team, the amount of people that make it from the U16 team to eventually get to make their debut on the national team is a very, very, very small number. So getting to play in just this World Cup qualifier obviously is a huge honor within itself. And, I know getting to put on the jersey will be super special. And, these are the teams I watched growing up. My favorite players played on these teams. So everybody knows what an honor it is to wear USA across your chest. And, obviously there's quite a few more steps to reaching the Olympics. And you have a lot till we get to that point. But obviously that's certainly my goal. And obviously the World Cup before that.
Clark is at Team USA camp, working, getting ready, getting to know Paige Beckers, and making game-winning shots in drills. She also doesn't say anything political or take a hard line when asked about the CBA. She just says, "Get in a room and shake hands." This is so easy that it makes the whole situation seem even less important than it was. Breanna Stewart has said in public that she is willing to sit in a room for hours to make a deal. And while that sounds dedicated, it's hard to listen to without picturing Unrivaled in the background. It's one thing to say you'll work the hours. In fact, it's a whole different thing to have a clear reason to finish the deal quickly. The CBA problem isn't just happening by itself either. This is how the old guard of the league has been acting for the last 2 years in general. There is something missing from this sentence. Some of the WNBA's more experienced leaders have tried to play down Clark's importance to the league since she was picked up. In a very clear way, not in a sneaky way. It's been going on for 2 whole years.
That's the worst part of all this, is the new fans are sucking the f***ing life out of the WNBA right now. It's just the truth. You are right. You are right, new fans. There has never been more viewership because of Caitlin Clark. There's never been more attention. They're doing 40 minutes on First Take about Caitlin Clark. They never did that before, as Monica McNutt called out. You're right. But you know what there was in the WNBA last year and the years prior? There was other storylines. There was joy. There was talk of competition. There was talk of what was actually happening on the court.
We should start with the new fans thing because it was one of the worst parts of the whole thing. A lot of new fans joined the league when Clark did. People who had never been to a WNBA game before bought her jersey, went to games, and listened to coverage. Not only did some of the old guard not welcome the newbies, they scolded them, telling them they needed to respect the league's history, and making them feel like they didn't belong. Think about this. Your league has finally gotten the attention it's been looking for decades. And your answer is for the police officers who should be in the building. That really did happen. The numbers also don't lie. Ratings, attendance, and shirt sales all went up. Everything that happened was because of the new fans that the old guard was trying to push away. That's a lot of irony there. Then there's court stuff. There was more rough play against Clark than is usual in professional play. It should have been called when there were clear fouls. There were times when it looked like some players were more interested in getting a point across than in playing basketball. This did not happen just once. It was the same trend that showed up every year for 2 seasons.
I see are the Bs that are being dramatic about Caitlin Clark. That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
That's not all, though. Now, those same experienced players are working with the Players Association to get a CBA that will help Clark Paige Beckers. Angel Reese and all the other younger players who are making the league money right now. The people who brought in more money for the league are the ones who are losing the most because of this standoff. The people who are stopping talks have a rival league planning to use them against us. Now things start to get interesting. Fans want to know whose future the PA is really talking about. Since a lot of people have money invested in Unrivaled and the talks are moving very slowly, the answer quickly becomes uncomfortable. Online people aren't being quiet about this. The reaction is real, and it's getting worse because it's too easy to connect the dots.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
In spite of everything, Clark keeps showing up. She isn't making it about anyone else at Team USA camp with fever or in interviews. She isn't saying bad things about the union or naming specific people. She only does the job and talks about basketball. In light of this, everything the old guard is doing looks even worse. Okay, this is the pay. It has been 2 years of trying to push Clark to the edges, but the opposite has happened. Everyone who talks about the league's future brings her up. The Fever go into 2026 with Clark healthy, a team built around her, and TV rights from TNT that make sure everyone in the country watches every game she plays. Clark went to Team USA camp, made the game-winning shot in practice, and talked openly about working through a tough injury season. He then said 2 words that summed up the whole CBA mess. The 2026 season of the Fever hasn't even started yet. The Players Association can keep putting things off. The old guard can keep holding on to any power they think they have. But Clark will keep showing up and making it hard to look anywhere else. And if you like Fever, that's the spirit you need right now. Are you glad Caitlin is back at work? Please let me know in the area below for comments, as we will be writing about all of her Team USA games this week. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on all alerts so you never miss anything.